Hi, and welcome to Civil Liberties Australia's February News. According to Australia's Home and Border Force Supremo, Michael Pezzullo, surveillance by big tech and private companies should worry us more than surveillance by our own government. Yet Pezzullo is the man responsible for the repressive laws and years-long detention of refugee claimants in Australia over the past 2 decades. CLA says, "We know that companies abuse surveillance, misappropriate data and misuse databases because of their financial greed. But what is our government's excuse? Why do Pezzullo and his government agencies choose to persecute individual Aussie citizens, journalists, whistleblowers and the ABC?" We all know in Australia that proactive community services linked to a positive police attitude would change the future for prisoners' families, especially young children's futures. The family of someone sent to prison needs help to protect young people from mental ill health or being drawn into crime. In the UK, a charity called Children Heard and Seen are working with the Thames Valley Police on a pilot study to help families of prisoners. Data from the UK Prison Service database is being used not only to track a prisoner's entry, movement through and eventual release from prison, but able to direct support to vulnerable family members left behind. The charity, Children Heard and Seen, works with the family to create a tailored package of one-to-one support with trained staff, volunteer mentoring, parent support, peer support groups for children and family activity days. Research in 2019 from the Children Heard and Seen program showed about 312,000 children are impacted each year by parental imprisonment in England and Wales. 65% of boys with a parent in prison go on to commit a crime. 25% are more likely to develop mental health problems, underperform in education and suffer from the shame and stigma of a parent in prison. In Australia, among Indigenous communities, jailing of adults and children is so high in WA and the NT particularly that numbers needing help may well exceed the numbers in the UK, CLA says. CLA has been critical repeatedly over the past 20 years about the number of fatal and serious accidents that occur moments after police had called off a chase in every jurisdiction in Australia. The incidents are too numerous to list, the most recent being on February 21st when a teenage boy died after colliding with an unmarked police car in Sydney. A senior police officer stated to the boy's father that the boy was being chased by police when the unmarked police car turned directly in front of him. The father then had a meeting with a police investigator who told him there had been no police pursuit and that his son had lost control of the motorbike before running into the unmarked police car, which was parked on the road. WA continues to be particularly prone to chase accidents and deaths. Cowboy police driving behaviour has been reined in some states, by new internal chase guidelines, but what is lacking in WA is external oversight and accountability of police. The failure of the Australian government over decades to stand up for its citizen Julian Assange is a national disgrace. CLA President Dr. Christine Klugman said the government seems to think that moral fibre is something in breakfast cereal, not a core principle intrinsic to their treatment of Australian citizens. CLA wants a citizenship charter to spell out what our rights are and what we can expect our government to do for us when another country wants to abuse their laws against us. CLA are working to include this in the National Human Rights Act. Every Republican president since 1980 has pushed through tax cuts to benefit the wealthiest 1%, while trying to defund or privatise Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid and affordable care. The Australian government is going down the same exclusive to the rich road. It has recently allowed big corporations to retain $38 billion of overpaid by mistake support during COVID-19's early days, but insisted the poor repay some thousands of dollars overpaid by mistake by individuals under robo-debt. New Australian tax brackets unfairly benefiting the super rich are waiting to be legislated. CLA is concerned Australia is following America. increasingly heading away from a nation based on social equity and justice to a corporation-led state, prioritising greater wealth creation for the rich. Justice is being left to wither unguarded. Has anybody experienced the reality of trickle-down wealth yet? Aboriginal peoples can claim that this growing class war has been the state of the nation for them for 2 centuries. In recent news, on Sunday night, another WA prison riot broke out. The union has criticised Serco, which runs the prison, blaming understaffing for the incident. Acacia is WA's largest prison and is already understaffed, but Serco has yet to call in off-duty prison officers to bolster numbers during this riot, Union Secretary Andy Smith said in a statement. The situation was entirely predictable due to shocking staffing levels and poor morale and has now hit boiling point. Serco needs to stop putting profits ahead of safety and ensure there is enough staff to control the number of prisoners. At Fremantle Prison, Brett Pettit spoke about the traumatic consequences of WA's homelessness crisis, the cycle of deprivation for those constantly being moved on from unaffordable rentals or having to share accommodation with a dozen others is exacerbating mental illness. There is no social housing for prisoners who have completed sentences, no adequate appropriate foster care for Indigenous children, no affordable housing for working families, no affordable flats for young workers or those with disabilities. No wonder our prisons are at bursting point, CLA VP Halkins said.